Okay, something a bit different today. This is my other little motor. The Porsche is running fine. Just needed to sort of leave that for a bit. Now I can drive it every day. I'm just going to put a bit more miles on it. I'm up to sort of 400 miles now. I want to put 500 on it, then do a service. So this is my other motor out of my sort of fleet. 67 Beetle. Had it about 6 or 7 years. Pretty straight original car. I put wings on it a year or so ago, but the bodywork, most of the bodywork's original. It's pretty solid. It needs a bit of carpet gluing back up that's fell down, but interior wise, all pretty original. Just done over 100,000, 104,000. Original miles as well. Yeah, so it's I was using this sort of as a daily driver some of the time in between my other vehicles. The engine that was the original engine was meant to have been rebuilt. I drove it a bit and it was chucking oil out a bit and didn't sound brilliant, a bit low oil pressure, so I built up another engine with twin carbs and ported heads and 1641, and it went like shit off a shovel basically. But I kind of got tired of that because I didn't use the power, and I wanted to always put the original engine back in it and sort it out. So I basically sold the engine out of this, sold another engine, and that money sort of paid for the Porsche. So this has been on the drive for sort of 6 or 7 months with no engine in it. And it's kind of handy to have. It's another spare car to jump in, and I do like using it in the snow. The current weather we're having, I prefer to come in this than my Mark III Scirocco because this is brilliant in the snow. I've come in the Scirocco this morning. I didn't fancy coming in the Porsche this morning in the snow. It's a bit, if I crash that, it's going to be more expensive than fixing my Scirocco. So some idiot drives into me, which is normally the way. So I've got it down here the other week, partly to make room on my drive for the Porsche, to be fair. I'm a bit at saturation point, really. So it's come here for the brakes are a little bit stuck. We'll have to free them off at some point. So it'll be something a bit different from the Porsche, but I will be doing more stuff on the Porsche at some point. So this is the old engine. Basically, it was chucking a lot of oil out the back, out the flower oil seal. So you can see the flower oil seal. I put this in when I first got it. I replaced it and it's moved, which they sometimes do. It's sort of further in there and out there, which will cause it to leak, start to try and come out. I've had that happen before, not that much though. So sometimes it's when the case isn't right. The hole in the case is just not machined, or it's been machined, or something's out of line and they do screw out. But basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that seal out, take the shims out, and have a look if the back bearing's moving. It could be leaking out the cam plug. That don't look the best either, really, to be fair. I've got videos and stuff of the rebuild. It's meant to have had new heads and all sorts of stuff. I did put big end bearings in it as well a while back, just to see if it would cure the oil pressure, but it didn't. So I'm assuming it. I think what they've probably done is it's the original 100,000 mile crank, and they've put new bearings in it, and it's not right because it kind of sounded a little bit rumbly as well, but it's not really got any end float, so that kind of makes you think that something's not right in there. The barrels and pistons and heads actually got used on another job. I needed some bits for another engine and I just robbed the bits off it, but to be fair, I would have put new stuff on it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So you can see it's a H code, so originally 1500, so I think 46 horsepower, something like that. I've got all the original bits of tinware and stuff for it, so I'll hopefully try and set the camera up shortly and doing the video of me splitting the case. I'm going to split the case, check the crank, see what size the crank is, if it's been machined, or see what bearings are in it. Make sure, the key thing really on any second-hand one or engine you're taking apart and building up is to check that the back bearing isn't moving. There's a dial that holds the back bearing. I'll show you when I take it apart, but there's a dial that holds the back bearing from moving. And sometimes the end float, which is a movement on the pulley, isn't end float, it's the bearing moving in the case. Now if the bearing's moving in the case, it's shagged basically. You can get oversized bearings and line bore it and various stuff, but you're relying on other people's machining and it kind of gets a bit expensive. So if the case is knackered, I'll just build up another engine. I've got plenty of other engines in my garage at home lying around, got too many in fact. But I'd like to keep the original and build it up if it's feasible within reason. I don't want to spend a fortune on it because I do just run around in it. But that's something to check, that back bearing. Make sure it's got 3 shims, should have 3 shims in, various sizes. Sometimes you get it where they've put the 3 thickest shims in, which makes them a little bit tight. But the best way to shim it up to check the shims is you can get a dial gauge and you know, there's meant to be a really fraction amount of movement, but some of these new Recons you get, you can feel the movement in them. So they set them a bit higher. So I normally just shim them up until I can just feel a little bit of movement and do them like this without the rods on, so they spin over, so you can check it's not tightening itself up. Because sometimes you put more thicker shims in and it starts to lock itself up, which is obviously you don't want to run it like that. But I'm hoping, it did have a bit of a cam follow rattle, so when you take it apart you'll see, but the cam follower sort of move inside there. I've had it before when they've got a cam follower rattle, it's the case that's worn and allows the cam follower to sort of jiggle about. You can sort of put sleeves in them and stuff. I'm not too fussed about that, to be fair. I've had plenty of engines that have had a bit of a cam follower rattle and they go on forever, never a problem. It may be there's something wrong when I get it apart, but I'm not too fussed about the slight cam follower noise. I just want it, you know, I don't want to go into sleeving the case and stuff. It's, you know, it's not economically viable really for me to bother when I've got other engines I could just build up and put in. So yeah, so I'll do another video shortly, taking it apart, but yeah, something a little bit different for me channel, but you won't see this much because I don't, to be honest, there's not much wrong with it. It's just a case of to get the engine back in, get it back on the road. It doesn't really go wrong, and I don't want to change it much. I want to just keep it like that and just use it every day like I normally do. I normally use it a lot over the summer, but it's quite a rare one because it's a 67, sort of 1 year only. Well, I say 1 year only, but they did it for like a year and a bit. But this is a 1500. So if you're getting a Beetle, it's probably the best model to get, I would say, unless you've got loads of money and you can get an oval or something, because it's got the bigger windows at the side, so it's not, you've got a bit more visibility. Still got the nice sloping headlamps, early bumpers. Not got the 5-stud wheels, but it's got disc brakes and a 1500 gearbox, which makes it quite a nice car to drive. So it's got the early looks, but you've got the more modern sort of brakes. And with a 1500 gearbox, it absolutely flies. This will do, I've had this off the clock. I've had this to 90 mile an hour, quite happily. They absolutely fly, these 1500s do, especially if you put a slightly twin carb engine in it. But my old original one, to be fair, I used to have one of these years ago, which is why I bought this one. It was the same colour. But yeah, the original one I had with just a standard 1500 engine in, I got that to go off the clock on the A52 going to Derby when I was going clubbing back in my younger days. And it absolutely flew. Lovely car to drive as well, nice light steering. So yeah, but bit of a keeper. I'm not going to get rid of it, but it needs to really be movable and on the road. So if anything else broke, if my Scirocco broke and the Porsche broke and my camper broke, then I've still got a spare, or my son, you know, if somebody needs to borrow a car, it's a car that they can just get in and drive. So yeah, I'll do another video shortly. I'll try and set the camera up and we'll do another video of me sort of splitting the case and having a quick look at it.